Hey everyone, welcome back to the Where If You Take You podcast. I am your host, Kayla Bowker, and I am here today to give you a little bit of a pregnancy update. I just put one out a couple weeks ago that kind of covered week 7, I believe, and week 8. So I have not updated you guys in a little bit since then, and yeah, today I'm going to. So for those of you that are maybe new, I'm Kayla Bowker, one of the hosts at Where If You Take You podcast. I'm a professional triathlete, mom of 2 little boys, currently pregnant with baby number 3, and I am also a triathlon coach at Where If You Take You triathlon coaching team. And kind of what I have planned to do with some of these updates, I'm going to do a couple of different things, but part of one of my plans is just to kind of give you guys updates on how training is going, how maybe I'm feeling, things that are going on, and I eventually am going to be doing some kind of question and answer types of things as well to, just maybe provide a little bit more understanding of how this journey goes and everything that goes into it, and just kind of share how are things going with this will be my 3rd and my last baby. So it's kind of cathartic for me to share a little bit as well because, there's a lot that goes on, and sometimes it feels good just to talk about it and say things out loud that maybe you've been thinking in your head, but just haven't shared yet with the world. So here we are. Thanks everybody who listened to the first episode. I actually got surprisingly good feedback from it, and so thank you so much. I was definitely very nervous to put that one out there because, one, it's my first episode where I just sit here and talk to myself, which, only so kind of challenging to do sometimes. And on top of that, I definitely was feeling pretty bad during both of those recordings, and I was not afraid to share how I was feeling and some of the thoughts that are going through. And I definitely contemplated not putting that out there a couple of times because I was a little afraid maybe how people would think it came across. But for those of you that maybe don't know me well, or if you do, you do know that I am somebody who believes very much in allowing yourself the space for vulnerability. I believe in being open and sharing how things are really going. And I think one of the problems is that we don't know enough about pregnancy and journeys that moms go on because not enough people are willing to share how we actually are feeling and the challenges that go along with it. So I promise to always be very open with how things are going and where all that takes. So where are we now in this journey? I am 12 weeks pregnant. So quote unquote, finishing up the first trimester. And it has been a long couple of months. I really, I don't understand how it's only September 9th. I think I said this in the last podcast, but it feels like it should be way later. Like, how am I only 12 weeks pregnant? I don't know. I don't understand it. It's been long. I have definitely not felt good. This has definitely been the more challenging pregnancy of the 3 that I've had because I just have everything, all my symptoms have been magnified to like the 10th degree or the millionth degree or whatever you want to say. I've had a lot of the exact same symptoms as with Skylar and Baylor, but everything has just been way magnified. Apparently that is because here we go, drum roll, I'm having a girl. So we are having a little girl this time. So we will have 2 boys and 1 girl in the family. And apparently wives' tales / kind of what everybody has been saying that I've talked to is that who have had multiple children and they've had both genders, girl and boy, is that their pregnancies with the girls have been just a little more challenging. So I'm only, I don't know how much stock I really take in that, but I will tell you that it has definitely been a little more challenging this go around than any other go around. So kind of what I'm still experiencing, things have started to improve from a nausea standpoint. I'm not quite getting the debilitating headaches that I was getting, but it's still just hanging around. So my main symptoms really are the nausea, the extreme exhaustion and lack of motivation, and the fact that my brain seems to work on a really slow basis. So I will apologize if this starts to kind of jump all over the place because I definitely just can't seem to focus very well. Like working is the absolute hardest thing for me right now. So, and then, I think I mentioned the headaches. The headaches have improved a little bit, which is nice. That was really debilitating. I get migraines in general, and so they were even, exemplified and just so much harder this time around. So it's kind of nice that, some of those are subsiding a little bit. Problem being is that my food aversion is definitely still there, and it's really hard to describe what food aversion is, you guys, but I am starving. I am so hungry. I want to eat whatever. I just want to eat and not like worry about what I'm eating. Worry is not the right word, but just not think about what I'm eating. But what it is basically is I'm hungry and I want to eat, and I want to eat things. And so I'll go to eat something, and it's literally like my brain shuts down and says, no, you're not eating that. Like imagine that you're at the end of an Ironman and all of a sudden your brain and muscles won't function. That's how like my brain and my mouth and my stomach are not in sync at all. And so that's kind of how I've been dealing with food. So food has been really challenging. Trying to find things that I can kind of eat. I eat eggs, oatmeal. I have been able to start drinking my coffee again, which is, thank God. That I think is what really helped my migraines and my headaches. I eat these really creepy tuna snacks. They are so disgusting, but I crave the protein, and that's definitely something that's been helping. And then dinner is real hit or miss. Some days I can eat dinner, and some days I just even want a thought of food. So yeah, that's definitely been a work in progress and a piece that I'm still desperately trying to figure out. So just really depends on the day. With pregnancy, you kind of have to go for it and have to roll with whatever it is that is thrown at you. And I definitely, by the end of the day, I'm exhausted. So by the time like 3 o'clock rolls around, I'm really done. I don't have any energy. I just want to lay down. It's definitely made like hanging with the kids more challenging. Thankfully, the boys have been so understanding. They know they don't totally get why I feel so sick. Like Baylor especially, he keeps asking, why mommy do you feel so sick? But when I tell them I feel really sick and I'm really exhausted, I just have to lay here. And like they'll come and just play in the area that I'm in so that we can kind of hang out. Though yesterday I got talked into playing soccer with them, which is super fun, and I'm really excited. I'm pretty sure I broke my kneecap in the process because he tackled me, and I ended up falling directly on my knee, and now I woke up like, wow, I'm really sore. Why? Oh, I played soccer yesterday. So with that, it's actually race week for me. So I am racing 70.3 Michigan. I will be basically 13 weeks on race day. So my little calendar, my weekly calendar of how far along I am, switches over on Mondays every week. That's just based off of my due date. And the race is on Sunday. So technically I'll be 13 weeks when I race. It's going to be very interesting. I'm going to go into my training here in a minute, but I'm going to talk a little bit right now about how I'm feeling about all this. So this is not the first time that I have raced pregnant. I raced when I was pregnant with Skylar. I raced at 8 weeks, 12 weeks, 14 weeks, and 20 weeks pregnant. So this is not the first time that I've raced. I did not race with Baylor while I was pregnant because I got pregnant very late in the year with him. I got pregnant in November, I guess it technically would have been like October, November range. And so the season was basically over by the time I found out I was pregnant. So I never actually, and by the time the season started back up again, I was too far along to actually do any racing. So I didn't race with Baylor, but I did race a lot with Skylar. But, and it actually went really well when I raced with Skylar. The difference being I was in the age group field. This time I'm in the professional field, and so that's definitely a piece that's causing a little bit of trepidation because my form is very mediocre. I've managed to kind of train somewhere in that 13 to 15 hours a week range, and at the professional level, that just won't cut it. So it'll be interesting to see how it goes from that standpoint, but I committed to the racing. I committed to the people I'm going with, and I am definitely one of those where if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. And I've also always promised myself that I would not be a professional who said she was going to do something and then just bowed out for whatever reason, because I wasn't 100%. Now, obviously there's times, and this is a perfect example of a time in which bowing out would be totally valid. But hey, I'm going to do it. I'm going to give it a try. My goal is to go into it with just like no fear, and removing that fear of what people will think about the fact that, hey, I'm probably going to get beat by age groupers, and I'm in the professional field. And unfortunately, that just gets so much hate and so much lack of respect, and I don't understand it, and it's very frustrating. But you know what? I have a very valid excuse. I will be 13 weeks pregnant. Nobody else out there will be 13 weeks pregnant. And so, yeah, I'm going to go into it with no fear, and just with the goal to do everything I can. And I'm very prepared for if I'm having one of those days where I get to a point where I just cannot, I will be done. And that's totally okay. We're going to go out there and have some fun and just enjoy racing and kind of doing, what it is that I love to do, which is race. And I really didn't, when I got pregnant, I didn't want to miss, because at the time, looking at it, like the chance that I'll race again before September, unless the pro schedule is a little more full next year and there's a little more opportunity in, say, like late July or August, there's a good chance I could not race until September next year. And I just didn't want to go that long. The last time I raced was June. I haven't raced since June, and that is a long time. And it feels like a long time. So I really wanted to kind of get back out there, and I wanted to race again. And so whatever this is going to look like, hey, that's what it's going to look like, and we're going to go for it. And yeah, so we'll just we're going to see how it goes. So I did want to give you guys a little bit of a rundown on how training has been during this time frame, because it's definitely been, a little bit, definitely been a challenge to kind of manage that whole side of things. So we're going to kind of chat about it here for a minute, and I'll give you guys a little bit of a rundown on, just what training has been like this year, or this pregnancy kind of sense. I talked to you last in week 8. And so we're going to kind of go through it a little bit here with what, how things have been. So the average durations of training that I have done over the last couple of weeks was, if my training peaks will load for everybody, we'll start with last week. Last week I got 14 hours in. I had planned for about 17. So as with the story that you're going to see a lot of these times is I plan for a duration and I have yet to hit it. So last week I had planned for 14 hours. I had missed a full bike session. I missed a swim. So the bike session was 2 hours and the swim was an hour, which that would be my 3 hours. I think I actually missed a short run too, somewhere in that range. The week before, I planned for 17 and a half hours. I did 15. That was actually a really good week for me. That was probably, I think that might be my biggest week. I'm going to go back here in a minute and see. So last week, or the week before, was 15 and a half hours. The week before, I had a really, really hard week, and I did 12 hours. And then the week before that, which I think gets us close to about the last time I did an update for you guys, I did 15 hours. So as you're seeing, my average kind of is about 13 to 15 hours when I have really tough weeks. So my last week that I did above 15 hours was the week of July 29th. And I haven't gotten much above 15 hours in quite a few weeks for a lot of reasons. So what is kind of going well? Swimming has actually kind of flipped a corner in the last 2 to 3 weeks. When I first got pregnant, swimming was really hard. I just didn't have any energy to do it. My fatigue level was so high, and when my fatigue level is really high, swimming always tends to be kind of the biggest challenge. However, in the last 2 weeks, I really enjoy swimming, and it feels really good, and I can kind of swim longer sets now. So I averaged out around, last week, my swimming average was really actually pretty good. I did a couple of 4K swims. I'm trying to pull it up here quickly. It's probably not going to do it very quickly for me. But I did 4 swims, and 2 of those 4 swims were about 4K, which I hadn't swam over 4K or over like 3K, honestly, basically since my build into Texas. After Texas, I kind of just said, forget about it. We're not going to swim a lot. And that's just the way that it is. So yeah, I swam 4 times. In that time frame, I also ran 4 times. I ran last week for about 22 miles. And I biked, if we're counting here, 1, let's see, that's the bike I missed, 2, 3 times. I only biked 3 times. Biking has been the challenge for me during this, and I don't really know why. It seems to really trash me. Like I get done with it and I'm just exhausted and I'm not enjoying it as much. And maybe it's because I've been inside so much. It's been so hot here in Arizona, and a couple of pieces, my blood pressure is really low in general. I have extremely low blood pressure kind of just throughout my life, but when I'm pregnant it drops. When you're pregnant it drops even more. And when your blood pressure is really low, when you're training in the heat, that drops it even lower. And that was what triggers my migraines. So I've been trying to only be in the heat when necessary, which means that I've been choosing to swim and to run in the heat because I cannot wake up early enough to go out and ride my bike in the heat, early enough. I've only done it twice since I got pregnant. So I've been inside a lot, and so maybe that's a piece of it. It is supposed to be cooling off here in Arizona a little bit more soon, and so I'm hoping that will kind of then, get me back outside, and maybe biking will become a little bit more fun. So that was kind of last week. Running actually, and I didn't mention running. Running actually feels really, really good. I actually am enjoying running still. I have no pain with it. I'm not necessarily, I definitely have slowed down already, but that could also be because it's hot. I'm not 100% sure. So I am still really enjoying running at the moment. I can run, 90 minutes is kind of about the max. I'm running about 10 miles when I do my long runs. I can do 10 to 11 miles at this time frame, which I'm really happy with at this juncture, even at 12 weeks. Sometimes running is one of those that kind of gets hit really quickly with pregnancy, and my goal and hope is that I can run even longer than I have in the past. When I was pregnant with Skylar, I only made it to about 28. I maybe made it to 30 weeks. I don't quite remember. With running, I had a lot of hip and back pain. And then with Baylor, I made it to 32 weeks, I think. And though I don't know if I'd actually really call what I was doing running, it was basically I would run 2 minutes and I would walk 2 to 4 minutes. And then I would run 2 minutes and I'd walk 2 to 4 minutes. So again, not 100% sure that's what I would call running, but it was close enough for what I could do at the time. I carry babies extremely low, like really, really low, which creates a lot of back pain and hip pain. On top of that, I am someone, and this is kind of crazy actually, that has happened with all my doctor said it was something that you don't normally see happen with all 3 pregnancies, but my placenta is anterior, so it's in the front, which means a couple of things. One, it makes it harder for them to find the heartbeat, which is always terrifying. And then 2, it means that I don't feel kicks as much. I feel them way later than most people do, and I usually feel them a little bit less. And I also don't see the baby. Like sometimes women, they'll be able to like see the baby move like all the way across their stomach. That doesn't happen very often for me, and that's a combo of my placenta being anterior and the fact that I carry really low. The other wonderful thing that does is that creates wonderful back pain and horrible back labor. So that's exciting. Gotta love that. So yeah, running is still feeling really good. I'm really hoping that maybe I can manage running a little bit longer and kind of see where what that looks like for me. You never know. It just really depends. It's really just gonna be dependent, and it's hard to judge when you're only at 12 weeks how you're gonna feel at 25 weeks or 30 weeks and everything like that. So that was kind of last week. I did attempt last week to do a pre-race brick, and sorry, talking makes me cough. Really fun. I apologize for anybody listening. And so my goal was to do around 2 hours 45 on the bike, and then do a 50-minute run off. just to test that I can handle the volume, because I'll be honest, I am really nervous about whether or not I'm going to be able to handle the volume at like the continual volume at 70.3 Michigan. So I I did not handle it. I got through the bike and it's amazing. I just couldn't get my brain to do the run. Like, again, it's one of those, it was like the idea of trying to get my body to actually move and actually get out of the car after I changed from the bike to go run, it just was not happening. And then I went home and I took a nap because I was so tired. So we'll see. Again, how I've tried twice now. I tried 2 times to get this brick done, where I would do a little bit longer bike and then I would try to do a little bit longer run off to make sure I could handle the overall volume in one stance, and it did not happen. So that piece is definitely a little bit nerve-wracking, and we're just gonna have to see how it goes, kind of for race day. So that's kind of where I'm at, and that's kind of what each week has looked like. I attempt to get as much as I can. I am really hoping that I do seem to be moving in the right direction, kind of energy-wise, relatively speaking. Today, I actually decided to take the day off because again, it's like this big disconnect between my brain and my body where I don't feel bad, but I am so exhausted. And pregnancy fatigue is a very different kind of fatigue. It's even different. Like Ironman fatigue is such a big fatigue, but this is different. This is like this unbelievable, like you can barely lift your arms up kind of fatigue, to the point where you just can't think and you can't function, and there's a huge disconnect between brain and body. And that's how I have felt all day. Yesterday was a busy day. I did a 4K swim in the morning, and then I really quick immediately did a 20-minute run, and then Skylar had a golf tournament that started at 12:27, which meant that we spent the whole afternoon in the 108-degree heat, which is a little bit like, 4-year-olds, they should not be out there, and definitely pregnant mom should not be out there. But we did it. It was also a lot of fun. Complete side note, he took 3rd. So proud of him. It's his 2nd tournament. He is the youngest by a minimum a year out there. He's the only 4-year-old. Everybody else is either 5, 6, or 7, or almost 7. And he did 5 strokes better than he did in his last one, and he took 3rd out of 6. I think there were 6 of them. I can't remember. Anyways, so proud of him. He did so good. He had 3 pars, and just so great. Anyways, that's a complete side note, but it has completely wiped me. It just left me very exhausted and pretty mentally drained today. So I was all geared up to get on the bike, and I just couldn't do it. I couldn't get myself to get going. I couldn't get my body to move. I decided, one of the things I'm going to do this week is I'm going to be very, very protective of my energy, so that, because my energy compounds. I usually feel a little bit better at the beginning of the week, and then as I go through the week, everything starts to get more and more exhaustive, and Sundays usually tend to be my hardest day. I don't have much energy. I usually feel the sickest, and kind of all those pieces. So my goal is just to really try to conserve energy this week, and so that on Sunday I maybe have some reserves to pull through. So I treated myself. If you're watching this on YouTube, because I am going to actually start putting these solo episodes up on YouTube, I've got myself a little treat here. This is a chocolate protein shake with coffee, 2 shots of coffee. Again, I have been able to start drinking my coffee, which has been really, really nice. It kind of gives me a little bit of gives me that boost, and I needed it today. I have a lot of work to do, and let's just say my mental clarity has been super, super low. Pregnancy brain is a legit thing, and I am definitely experiencing it. So that's kind of where we're at, with a little bit of an update on how things are going. And let's see. I was going to kind of talk a little bit about, I think I mentioned that one of the things I was struggling with was trying to find the right doctor situation here in Phoenix. And I did finally kind of get that all sorted out. I believe I mentioned in the week 8 update that I was trying to decide between 2 doctors, and one was much closer. One was only a 15-minute drive, and one was a 35-minute drive. And I did end up going with the midwife group this time. So with both my other pregnancies, I used OBGYNs. I had the best doctors previously. I loved them. I loved them. They were super understanding of what I do and the fact that I know my body better than anybody else. And they just didn't give me, I had no parameters. They just said, don't be stupid, which they're like, Kayla, you know what you're doing. You understand this process. Like, ask us the questions that you need, but use your intuition. You are a smart human who knows her body better than anybody else. Just follow that. And that was really, really freeing for me. And so that's also kind of what I was looking for when I came here. And so I saw, when I tested it out, I saw a midwife group, and then I saw an OBGYN group. I did not like the OBGYN group. Did not like them. I didn't feel like they listened to me. They didn't seem to care or understand what I was going through mentally when I was at the beginning, because I was really struggling mentally with this process because of my previous miscarriage, and just the fear that kind of surrounds that, and the uncertainty that surrounds the beginning of pregnancy. And they just did not seem to care or even understand or be sympathetic, and that was just not something I wanted to deal with. So I ended up going with the midwife group, which again is about a 35-minute drive. So fingers crossed, I go into labor at night, which does seem to be standard for me. That's historically when I went into labor with both kids. Because then we won't hit traffic. Whereas if I go into labor during traffic time frame, well, that could be an interesting drive into getting to the hospital. But I really like the midwife group that I'm seeing. They are really sweet, really understanding, really communicative, and just really helped me feel at ease during, that whole first 10-week process before I got my 10-week ultrasound, which really then kind of made me feel a lot better. Once I got past that 10-week mark and I saw that ultrasound, my fears have pretty much gone away in regards to those pieces. So that was really awesome, and I'm really glad I took the time to make that decision. And I also really was very vocal about standing up for what I needed for myself, kind of across the board. And to me, the group that listened to me when I stood up for myself during that time frame, that's the group that I went with. So that's definitely something that you have to be willing to do, and I think it's something that more women need to be willing to do when they're pregnant, because pregnancy is a very challenging time frame, and you have to be willing to stand up for yourself during that time frame. And I just when it comes to medical conditions at all, I think, or honestly anything when it comes to our women's bodies, we need to be willing to stand up for ourselves more. And that, I might be talking about it with pregnancy, but maybe you have something else going on. Maybe you're going through perimenopause or menopause, or you have an injury, or you just are uncertain about your own body, or you have some body image stuff going on, or mental health. Women need to be willing to stand up for themselves. And, it was very empowering for me to constantly be like, no, this is what I need. I need this, and this is the help that I need. And if you're not willing to give it to me, then I'm going to go find it somewhere else. So that's why I ended up with the midwife group. They're really great, and the head doctor haven't met him. I don't know if I will or not, but the head doctor who's in charge, if something was to go wrong during delivery, from what I've read and all the reviews that he had, is amazing. So I have no concerns over that at all. And it'll be not something I have to worry about too much until I get to mid-March-ish time frame. So when that time frame comes, we'll give you a little bit more of an update on, what that looks like. So that's kind of what we're at for now. I think that's probably enough of me blabbing to you guys about what's going on here. I will be planning on doing these on a fairly regular basis. Again, I am going to be putting these episodes up on YouTube also, so on my channel. So it's Kayla Bowker. On that channel, I'll be putting up that, so if you ever want to listen to it on the trainer or anything like that, you can watch my pretty little face. Not sure if you guys actually want to or not, but you can watch that on YouTube. Sometimes I know people like to do that, and we'll get that up there. And then I will be doing some question and answers, so I will be putting up things for questions where you guys can ask questions in regards to anything. I am a complete open book when it comes to this, and if I don't like your question or I think it's rude, I won't answer you, because you know what, this is my channel, and that's the only only thing that matters. So any questions about training, pregnancy, being pregnant with a mom of 2, my training, racing, my plans, getting back into training, I don't know. Whatever questions that you guys might have, or things that maybe you're a new mom, or maybe you're just someone who wants to share in the journey, or anything along those lines, please send your questions in. I will be more than happy to answer them and kind of share what I can in this journey to help maybe empower you to feel more confident in yourself. Again, whether you're mom or not mom, career woman, never want to have kids, maybe want to in the future, but you're not sure, I get it. I get it all. I didn't want to have kids. I didn't want them at all. I had to be talked into having children. And here I am. 3 babies later. So I totally get both sides of the story, and I can sympathize with all aspects of it. And yeah, that's where we are. I'm really excited about this. I will do a race recap for you guys. And yeah, if you're going to be in Michigan out there, please come say hi. I'd love to say hi and chat. Hopefully I'll have the energy to do so, but at the end of the day, I always love hearing from you guys, and really excited. If you do want to continue to also help support the podcast, you can. I have the Patreon team, which is just a really great space. I do early releases of guest episodes, so we've actually had a ton of stuff go up onto the Patreon community. I do put in kind of some monthly little short mini episodes. I aim for 2 to 4 a month. 2 seems to be kind of my standard, but these kind of become triathlon topics, mental performance topics, and I answer questions and stuff like that. And I would love for it to continue to grow. And your support of the podcast, it really makes a difference. It helps with the time that goes into the editing. It helps to cover the cost of all the platforms that I have to use to help kind of push the podcast out. This is a completely non-supported podcast. So every little bit does help and make a huge difference for small people like ourselves, who are just out here trying to share our journey and share our stories, and help to encourage you guys to find your passion and love in whatever it is that you're doing in the sport that you're doing. So would love to have more of you guys join, because I would love to have that kind of grow as more of a community, and I have really big ideas and plans and thoughts for it, but the only way for those to actually come true and come to fruition is if more people are willing to help support the podcast. So please share, subscribe, if you're really up for it, subscribe to the Patreon community. The link will be in the podcast, or you can head over to YouTube to watch this and grow those numbers. So thank you so much, everybody, again, for all the kind and loving words that that we had when I did share this pregnancy. Huge shout out to Erin, who encouraged me to share this journey. I honestly am not sure if I would have when I did without her. So thanks you everybody that sent their love and who was listening to the podcast and kind of sharing that it's okay for me to be vulnerable on this space. Your support is much appreciated, and we'll be back in another week or so with another update. See y'all.